Ooh, you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. So you know what we're about to do. We are going to get into Ashley Merchant and Doug Weinstein were interviewed on Justice Served podcast recently, and it was a great interview. I'm going to leave the link down below so you can check out the full interview. I'm going to just address a short segment that she and Doug commented on. I just thought it was a lot of fun. So let's jump into it. Let's go.
General Carr, let's bring his name back into this with regard to Fani Willis, because you did a post. Fani Willis was removed, as we know, from prosecuting the Trump case, right?
Right. Yes.
And not only that, just to bring up to speed, I think 5 counts had been dismissed. She was removed. The appellate court said the removal was fine. Then she appealed, but to the state Supreme Court. And
she appealed to the Court of Appeals.
Yeah, the Court of Appeals.
Okay. Now she's trying to go to the state Supreme Court.
Everyone calls. She's trying to go to the state Supreme Court. And then in the middle of that, Attorney General Carr said she should resign from that case. I think that she shouldn't keep these appeals going. And she came back and said, either in a statement to the media or in some kind of post, and you can tell me what it is because you mentioned it, that he should resign, because if he's got aspirations to run for governor, he should resign and stop commenting on what she is doing, appealing her decision not to be the lead prosecutor in the case. And then you came back and reposted that and said maybe she would have time if she just were paying attention to social media and all this stuff to answer our Open Public Meeting Records Act, right? So what's going on here? Where is all this?
Okay, I'm going to start calling Ashley the Queen of Shade. Ashley loves dunking on Fani Willis. And let's just tell the truth. Fani Willis loves being a midget walking into an NBA basketball game. She keeps putting herself in this position where she's outclassed and out effort. This is going to be a mess. So let's see what Ashley has to say, the Queen of Shade.
I mean, it's insane. She can't respond to the Senate. Okay, I get that you don't like the Senate. I get it. And you don't like what they're asking for. But you know what? They asked for documents. Give them the documents. Like, what are you trying to hide? She has instead gone through a lawsuit after lawsuit to try to make sure that the state Senate cannot have transparency. Why? What are you trying to hide? It's clear she's trying to hide something. So, instead of calling people names and saying, oh, they should resign and stuff, calling me a liar, all this, why don't you just turn it over? If you think your case is so fabulous and you think your ethics are so above board, turn it over. Let everybody look. What's the big problem? So instead, she's asking for Chris Carter to resign.
What's the end game? I mean, when you analyze what she's doing and dragging things out and appeal, what's the end game? Doug, what do you think she wants?
I mean, the only thing I'm guessing is she thinks that if she delays long, I don't know what she's thinking. It makes no sense because you delay, eventually she's going to have to turn these documents over. So, I mean, if she was one of my private civil clients, I would say, settle this thing, resolve it. You're running up legal fees. You're
not her money.
Losing. What's that?
It's not her money. That's the problem. The county keeps paying for legal fees.
Shout out to Doug Weinstein. I got a soft spot in my heart for Doug. I like him. He is fun, and he's telling you the truth. Like, and to couple it with what Ashley just said, if you're on the up and up, just do the right thing. Like, what is the purpose of you continually obfuscating, continually holding back, continually rebutting their requests for information that they're going to get eventually? That's the part that it's not like you're ever going to put it off. They're going to get the information one way or another. And Ashley's going to explain what some of those one ways are in a second. So let's let her go, Jason. Let's go.
I know.
They need to cut her off.
I mean, just from an electoral standpoint, she won this. She won the primary. She's a shoo-in the general every time if she wins the primary. So she thinks she's pretty much impervious, I believe. And that she can kind of do whatever she wants. And any attempt at transparency, any attempt at oversight, she fights. And again, why are you fighting something if you're doing nothing wrong? The other part about fighting is, which is just crazy to me, part of your job is subpoenaing records from people. And look at the example you're setting for folks. It's just like the way, you know what it is, Ashley, to me? It's just like the way she filed that brief about how cell phone records are unreliable, in the paragraph of the brief where cell phone data on GPS location is not really reliable to pinpoint where you are. I'm like, oh my gosh, way to undermine every one of your line prosecutors and every case they have where they use cell phone GPS tower location. It's nuts.
She's missing the bigger picture. She's so dug in on, I want to be right on this, that she's missed the bigger picture. And I think that's why she's digging in on everything.
And willing to sacrifice your criminal cases to have some personal gain. It's wrong.
Well, how does she, and that brings us to the elephant in the room. Ashley, you have a client that's in the Trump case, right? Well, I shouldn't say the Trump case anymore, because there's no way, in my opinion, she could prosecute him, right? Counts have been left out. He's now president.
I do want to jump in real quick. And I think, and we talked about this when Fani Willis said like cell phone data wasn't reliable. And we're like, well, hey, you're using cell phone data in the YSL trial. We just thought that was wild. And it's funny to hear Doug call it out, because that's the same thing that we said way back last year when they brought this whole situation up. And then also to think about the fact that just give them the data, give them the information. Why are you not doing that? And wait till you hear some of the other reasons why they're probably not doing it. Let's go.
We're going to have a new attorney general that's going to be confirmed, Pam Bondi. No doubt in my mind that she will get confirmed. Great. So then the elephant in the room is we had Nathan Wade got what, $700,000 to not $1 million as a special prosecutor in that case, right?
Yep.
He never prosecuted a petunia, nonetheless, a person. And so he doesn't have to pay back the money. She doesn't have to pay back the money. But I guess the elephant in the room then becomes, and let me go to you first, Doug, because we'll wait to get Ashley's view on this, and she's in the case. Does she get investigated and indicted by the new Department of Justice for some type of mismanagement, some type of fraud, some type of RICO? As a private citizen, Doug, you're as a taxpayer, what do you think?
Well, I am not going to speak about whether she merits prosecution or not, or indictment, but just as an observer of President Trump, I have trouble believing she will not end up indicted. I really do. I just do not see how he goes about his life and Pam Bondi goes about, and she's, by the way, very well qualified to be Attorney General. But anyway, I just don't see how she doesn't end up getting indicted for something. She has made a very powerful enemy. And given her reluctance to be transparent, it feels like she must be hiding something. And when you have the investigative powers of the federal government, I have trouble believing they're not going to find something if they want to find something. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ashley?
Okay, I'm going to stop right here. Shout out to Doug. I think Doug did a great job explaining that. And I agree with him 100%. Listen to how Ashley breaks this down. I'm going to go big screen, hopefully get her on there. Listen to how she explains how this is going to play itself out. And just ask yourself, do you think that this is going to happen? Let's go.
I fully believe that if someone wants to find a crime on someone, if you start with a person and then you go and look for a crime, you can find a crime on pretty much anybody. I mean, I think you could. And that's one of the problems I've always had with a reported crime versus picking a target and then going and investigating them. And that's exactly what she did in this case. Nobody reported a crime. They didn't say Mike Roman violated my civil rights.
Mike Roman is your client. Like this, tell people. Right. And who is he? Tell people who he is.
He was the Trump campaign's election day coordinator. So he was essentially a nationwide elections coordinator. He was, how I always equate his job is he's sort of like the postmaster. You know, he makes sure that stuff gets from point A to point B. So when they were trying to do the slates, you know, the alternate elector slates, he was making sure that things were moving, that pieces were moving. It's just like the Postmaster General. Would you expect them to read the documents and no, they're going to defer to whoever sent the documents. They're going to defer to the lawyers who drafted the documents and all that stuff. But so he's making parts move. I think just like This case, just like the Roman, Trump, all that, nobody called and said, I was a victim of a crime. There was not a crime that needed to be investigated. She said, oh, I'm going to investigate these people, and then I'm going to figure out what crimes I can charge them with. If you do that, if you flip that around and you do that with her, of course you're going to be able to indict her. If you say, I want to find a crime on Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, it's not going to be hard. You could pretty much do it on anybody if you tried hard enough. Someone has committed some type of crime, and you can make it a conspiracy, and I think we're going to see the exact same thing happen because it's not hard to do. And it's awful that the justice system can be used like it was used in our case. And, people like Mike Roman, who were not committing crimes, can be wrapped up in this, but that's what happens. I think it'd be easy for her to be wrapped up in it. And, here's the thing. She's actually taken public money and used it for other things, personal things, and people are dying. People are sitting in the Fulton County jail and dying. People are, Doug's client is having to defend himself and get another criminal case. She's using money that should be used to prosecute those cases and using it for her personal gain for this case to make herself famous. And I am 100% convinced after seeing all of the documents and all the history that that's what she wanted. She wanted to be able to run for higher office. She hired a media consultant. She pays him $200,000. I mean, this is media. She paid money to get articles framed on her wall about the Trump case. I mean, this is ego, 100%. And so she's taking taxpayer dollars and using it for her ego. That's wrong. And I think if someone looked at it, it's easily honest services fraud, easily. And that's essentially just a federal statute. It's not used a ton, but it's used when citizens are entitled to the honest services of the people they've represented, that they've been elected to represent. The people in Fulton County and the taxpayers in Georgia and federal, because she takes a lot of federal money, they're entitled to the honest services. And she had a federal grant to help kids to divert them from going into gangs. She used that money for other things. Those kids suffered. Those kids were entitled to that money. That gang diversion center should have been built, and it wasn't. And so people are suffering because of her honest services fraud. So I definitely think she could be indicted.
Wow.
Yeah, she believes that any money comes to her, she then has full discretion on how to spend it.
That's
full discretion and does not have to have any transparency. So, and she said that. I mean, she said that in pleadings. She said that to the commissioner. She thinks that if they give her a $5 million budget, she can pick 2 cases and prosecute those 2 cases, and she can paint her walls and she can do whatever she wants and ignore everything else because she is
I was astounded that was her position.
I think she said that under oath when you were questioning her on the discovery issues, right?
She's proud of it.
Yes.
She's proud of it.
Does not hide it.
Oi. Right.
So the new U.S. attorney for the Northern District of Georgia will likely be looking that way.
Yeah, I'm curious who that's going to be. I keep watching to see who's going to be appointed to that.
Oh yeah, do you have ideas?
I have ideas, but I don't know. I mean, I'm here's the thing. She can snub subpoenas, but she can't snub search warrants. So all they have to do is open an investigation, and all the subpoenas turn into search warrants.
Right. And now people in our chat are talking about immunity. She doesn't have immunity for crimes, right?
She does not have immunity.
Doug and Ashley, could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, Doug can talk about civil immunity probably if she has 1983 immunity.
Well, does she? Oh, yeah, I guess she does.
For civil, for being sued for financial things, she has immunity for acts that happen in court. So the only thing that she doesn't have immunity for is things that if she's taking on a police function. So if she does an investigation or something like that where she's operating outside of the court, she could still have civil liability. But she does not have any criminal immunity, none at all.
Yeah, so let's make it clear. I do not do 1983 actually.
Okay.
So you need to go to John Merchant if you want to do that.
And I'm repeating what John has told me.
And that's Civil Rights Act 1983, not the year. That's the
yeah. So we just we tend to have these lingos. It's 42 United States Code 1983. It's the Civil Rights Act, and essentially it's what law enforcement officers, if you were going to sue a law enforcement officer for any type of they break someone's arm, they kill someone in custody, anything like that. That's
Rodney King.
Yes.
Rodney King case,
1983.
perfect example of where they had criminal and then they had the civil rights violations.
Yeah.
George
Yeah.
Floyd in the federal court. I
Yeah.
mean, that type of thing.
Sure.
Oh, if people are aware of that.
Yeah, so 1983 is for getting money or what we call injunctive relief, which is where a court says you can't keep doing something. So like, if what they did with, a detainee, if they're using a chokehold and they don't think they should be able to use a chokehold anymore, then 1983 can force that change. But then there's also the civil rights violations, which can be criminal, but that's something different. She doesn't have immunity for any of the criminal stuff.
Yeah.
And she didn't get a pardon.
No.
I was
Wasn't
looking.
in the last little list there. Yeah,
She
that
did
would have been
not,
something.
as many trips as she made to DC for fundraisers, she did not manage to.
They did not. I
talk
mean,
her
I
way
was
into
like,
a pardon.
wow, they didn't even want to touch that. They were like, we're leaving you out to dry.
She was waiting by the phone. Come on.
Yeah.
I know. I saw that discussed today in X formal Twitter about she didn't get a pardon. She must have been waiting for it. She didn't get a pardon. Yeah, you're right. And as a matter of fact, the Senate, one of the things your Senate's investigating, or your legislature's investigating, is whether or not she went to Washington, right? To try to go after now President Trump. Oh my goodness, what a tangled web this has become.
She sent three, I mean, I have the receipts. She sent 3 attorneys and 1 investigator to DC. I mean, she didn't want us to know about it, but we found it on Nathan Wade's,
On his
invoices.
billing detail, right? He bills 8 hours at the White House.
And then then Nathan Wade, he goes, I don't know if you read his transcript when he testified in front of Congress. This just blows my mind. But he said he couldn't remember who he went there with.
Oh, I missed that.
Excuse me.
Remember.
Here's my I don't have my I left it in the other room. Here's my iPhone. Travel to court.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding? Like, you literally, the most important case of your life, and you're traveling to Washington, D.C. to meet with a congressional committee about the most important case of your life, and you don't freaking remember who you traveled with? Like, are you kidding me?
He's got a lot going on, Ashley. Come on. He has these things happening. You can't remember
Like, do we need to
details.
alert the bar that you need like a competency evaluation? Like, what in the world? How do you not remember that? Like, that's insane to me.
Doug has had it easy. He's been spending the last year and a half with the same people every single day. So I mean, even if you can say, "Where were you?"
know. I miss my little family from the YSL. That's the only bad thing. I miss my family from the YSL case.
Well, like, if you ask, where were you 15 years ago on some random thing, I might be like, I don't remember exactly who I was there, but like that, of course I'm going to remember. That was just insane to me. But we've gotten the records through open records, and I know exactly who he was there with. I can refresh his memory.
All right. Shout out to the lady merchant and as well as Doug Weinstein. Salute to both of them. That was good. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you watched all the way to the end, leave me a book emoji. That way I know that you hung in there all the way to the end of this, and I appreciate you all nonetheless. So until next time, everybody, grace and peace.
Yo, hit that like for deal with Christian. Yo, for deal with Christian, smash that bell for DOC. Yo, smash it, just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian. For deal with Christian, smash that bell for DOC. Yo, smash it, just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian.